Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1 Mike and the rest of the comic reading crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, IDW, Boom Studios, Zenoscope, and more, we have everything you want to read right here. Transformers comics? Yeah, we cover that. He-Man? Yeah, sure. DC superheroes like Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Batman Beyond? Yep, we have those too. How about TMNT from IDW and I Hate Fairyland from Image Comics? Yeah, we have all that here. Plus, so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So without any further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we are reading right now here inside the pull bag.
Hello and welcome to the pull bag. This is episode 352. I am, of course, TFG Mike. Joining me is Ryan, the UnEvenflow Markley. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And this week, the next to last or second, I don't know how many weeks are in May. It's another Batman episode here in the pull bag for Batman month. We are jumping on board with Batman Rebirth, which is the beginning of Tom King's run, Volume 1, entitled
Brother of the Clock King. Oh, sorry.
I Am Gotham. I should have said I Am Interrupted. Tom King and David Finch on this. It does list Scott Snyder as, I guess, a backup writer under King's name. So, David Finch, Mikhail Janin, Ivan Reis, Matt Banning, Danny Mickey. I know this is probably just for the Rebirth issue, but so I was excited for Rebirth because I was kind of ready for somebody else to take the Batman cowl by the horns and tell new stories.
Oh, that's fair. I love Snyder's run, but I think I felt the same way too.
Yeah.
And I was definitely excited by Tom King, who wasn't a household name, especially at the time, but people who read his stuff knew, yeah, he's very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is a Batman like I have never seen.
He's very different. So last week we reviewed Endgame.
Yep.
And we talked about the fact that started with a bang.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tom King starts things off with a bang as well, which was impressive.
I mean, when you put Calendar Man and Psycho Pirate in the same trade...
I'm just happy that we're starting at a number one, because as somebody from your network pointed out, I and so many people don't remember things from 1 to 7.
Yeah.
To me on Twitter. So
oh boy.
Man, I'm funny. Anyway, so
this is Game of Batman, not Game of Idiots.
Ugh, so bad. How bad does your show have to be that I'm literally not interested in your finale? Where were we again? So I figure you want to start with the I figure you want to start with the art. I'm just gonna,
man.
since
don't get me wrong, I absolutely love. Okay, so outside of Batman Beyond and all the artists that have worked on the Batman Beyond stuff, I've only really read Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Batman. I didn't read Batman Incorporated. I didn't read what were the other Batman titles they had back in the New 52? Anyway, I read main Batman, and I read Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. So, and I loved what Capullo did with the art, and Danny Mickey and everybody else in the colors. But oh my God, David Finch and everybody else on this. Like, first of all, let's look at not the main cover, but the cover of the first issue here, where it's basically just Batman with a batarang in his hand. It's kind of like a portrait shot. Like, damn, they kind of nailed Christian Bale's face under there a little. Because it almost looks like Bale.
So I'm going to cheat and point this out before you do. The Batman character in this, so the artwork, by the way, is absolutely amazing. I don't know what it is that you and I, every book we review, just seems to be required to have jaw-dropping art. Hey. But the Batman character himself takes a lot of cues from different versions.
Yep.
Like, he kind of looks like a mishmash. But having said that, the Batmobile and Gotham itself, I feel like, are pretty firmly Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I think the layout, and, you know, certainly the car, but I mean, the layout of the city it just reminded me so much of that show.
Yeah.
And it was done in a way that he wasn't trying to, it didn't seem like a cash in or a nostalgia thing. It's just, he just did it brilliantly, and it seems like a living,
really well done homage to, you know, it's like anybody having been influenced by Batman the Animated Series, they're going to be using that influence to show you in this, you know.
But like Capullo's run too, the city was almost a character of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, it's the same sort of thing, especially in these early bits where you're jumping ahead of it. Oh, geez. By the way, so only complaint about this is if you're going to name two new characters, could you make it less confusing for those of us that have to do podcasts?
Yeah, that's the only complaint I have as well.
So the new heroes are Gotham and Gotham Girl, and so anytime we talk about Gotham, you're gonna have to specify the
Gotham City.
But anyway, when in this initial bit where we lead into Batman being saved and the reveal of the two of them, in those sequences though, before being saved, good Lord, Gotham looks amazing.
It does.
Again, it feels
better.
like a real city.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It doesn't always. Sometimes it's just sort of this dark set piece, but you can see how the city works, from things like fire escapes to clotheslines to whatever. It just seems like a living city, and
especially having Batman have to do a Superman move and try to save a plane. I mean, that's something I think of Superman. Like, I don't think of Batman turning this crashed Gotham airliner into the new Batwing or Batplane or whatever. And that's exactly what he does to get it out of, Citizen's way and to be able to get it to crash. And then obviously Gotham and Gotham Girl come into here. And I'm loving the story, Tom King. I'm sorry. The only thing I don't like is the character superhero names. Their regular names are fine.
Yeah.
But
I liked the lead up. It worked for me.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned in the previous volume that some of the stuff, because I know Batman, because I know DC Comics, that I kind of figured out where some of the stuff was going to go, and that certain things were just a red herring. But the way the tension and everything is ratcheted up early on before the big reveal was really well done. You actually kind of feel like there's a chance something real bad's going to happen to Bruce.
Exactly. I like their inclusion of Solomon Grundy, and I like how they basically tell new readers Solomon's entire story over the panels. I thought that was really cool. I just don't think that Gotham needs... Batman and the Bat family are fine, but we don't need Superman and Supergirl cosplayers that...
Well, luckily, as we read on...
Yeah.
So, we keep on going. So, Batman, unsurprisingly, is both distrustful, but he also kind of loses a piece of himself here, because he's sure he was going to die.
Yeah.
And he very much, as we'll see later on, but he very much, again, at the same time that he's distrustful, he's kind of having a bit of a breakdown here. He doesn't believe that he belongs in the era of Superman.
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned this last episode, that one of the appeals, I think, of Batman, and that one of the things that's made him so great and stand the test of time is, again, he's just a guy in an era of gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, realistically, like Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, they're insanely powerful. and no one person could stand up, and no one person can do what they do, but he damn sure tries.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to see that kind of taken away from him early on with, okay, now Gotham has their two super people.
Yeah. And I like their story. I think their story is cool. I like how Tom King lays all that out with the plot of the book. I like how, we eventually get back to the Justice League being in the book.
Yeah, and I liked for the first time in a while, Hugo Strange was big, of course, in the Arkham video games.
Yep.
But aside from those, I can't remember him being a major sort of character in a lot of things. He had one episode of, Batman the Animated Series.
He had a whole run with B.D. Wong playing him on Gotham.
Yeah, I didn't watch Gotham. Sorry.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Sorry. But it was interesting that he's used here. I don't remember him in the comics an awful lot.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. And he is able to manipulate, I mean, we see why, but able to manipulate somehow, nudge, nudge, Gotham and Gotham Girl. God damn it. Why did he name them? Anyway. Give them a different name. Able to manipulate the characters with the same name as the city.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Hugo being in here is very cool. You're right. He wasn't used very much. He may have popped up in the animated series several different times. I'd have to go look. Like I said, he had the whole run on Gotham with B.D. Wong playing him. And of course, anybody who knows B.D. Wong knows that he was, the therapist on SVU for the longest time.
As well as the creator of dinosaurs.
Okay.
No, Jurassic Park.
Oh.
And then Jurassic World. And then Jurassic, whatever the second World one was. Anyway.
Again, like I said, I love how the Gotham and Gotham Girl story intertwines with Batman and how Batman Bruce has to help Gotham Girl and how that all plays out. I love that they have a Justice League moment in here. I love that it basically ends with Amanda Waller, because ending with Amanda Waller and Batman is always fun. And leading into, obviously, the next volume, which I will most definitely be covering on here at some time. I don't know when, but after reading this first volume, it's like I want to buy every other volume that's available currently and read it all, because damn.
So do you want to talk about the ending a lot? So the only things were, I kind of figured that Waller and her group would have played into the creation of Super Person and other Super Person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. So we don't get a resolution at the end, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I'm all right with the fact that when we end here, Bruce is still not back to normal. And I was okay with the fact that Hugo Strange kind of goes away. As long as we get a resolution later. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But I'm all right with that stuff. And I don't know how I felt about one character having to off another one. One thing I will say, so you mentioned it in the previous volume with Snyder's run. He uses Alfred for humor, and we get that here, as Alfred's kind of the impetus to end the reign of terror of Gotham.
Yeah.
The character, not the city, whatever. Anyway. So we get a lot of comments from Alfred, and it does a good job of... So the comments are just kind of there, I found, with Snyder's stuff. Not knocking it or anything like that. With King's, I feel like it was more levity. Like, it was more funny in King's.
Yeah.
it kind of takes away a bit from how dark the story really is when you sit and think about it, which works fine. It wasn't as though it took me out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, none of Alfred's stuff took me out of the comic at all. It actually enhanced, and at least again for someone who kind of grew up on the animated series. Okay, so here's the one that I did share from the pull bag. Yes, Gotham City descends ever into chaos. What a shock, sir. I hear Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s voice in my head reading that because I know BTAS Alfred, that is something he would say.
Yeah, seems to have the same voice. No, it's true.
I mean, it's just so good. And like I said, I cannot wait to read more of King's Run. I don't know where King's Run is going, but I just shared an article about issue 71, I guess they're up to or something, or it's coming up, where
75, anyway.
Okay, well, I don't know. All as I know is the story I shared had something about him changing the color of the bat signal. So I don't know what that's all about. I'm going to wait, obviously, until I read all of it to get up to that. And some of these alternate covers, oh my god, there's one by Batman #1 variant cover by Tony S. Daniel. I have loved Tony Daniel for the longest time. He did one of my favorite covers on the Nightwing annual back in New 52. It's a cover with Batman looking over a young Bruce in Crime Alley with two roses. Oh, it's so good. Love that cover.
Yeah, talking about the art too, going back to Finch for just a second, because we talked about it with Capella.
Yeah.
For my money, this is Finch's best work. He's done a lot of different work over the years, as I lose my voice for some reason. But yeah, this is probably my favorite. He did a really good job on stuff like Brightest Day, had a ton of different characters and couldn't have been easy to draw. Just, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Finch's art. I love the colorists. The colors in this book are just amazing. They really, really are. The art, I just can't get enough of the art.
I just like, it's not just the art too, it's the stylistic choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mentioned it before that I am a fan of Batman the Animated Series, obviously. I will always be a fan of it. It really is, I really think it was the introduction of Batman to me, as well as kind of what comics could be when they were going through the horrible dark time known as the 1990s.
Yes.
But and to see it on the page, but not used in a way that felt cheap or, hey, remember this time? Or anything like that was outstanding to me. And then the character designs, as well as, it's one thing to reimagine or do your own Batman. And especially for Finch, who's already drawn Batman in other series. But it's another thing to establish completely new characters and have them look like people. Yeah. You know, you could see, these people see him, you can see the life they've kind of led up to this point in the art, which is probably one of the better compliments I can give it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Gotham City and how it looks like a full functioning, moving, realistic city on the page. I cannot wait to read more and see what they do with the Batmobile, because that one shot of revealing it's the full-on BTAS style, but it's basically all black instead of the blue, and then it has like the bat face front, which is another homage to another part of the Batmobile's history, because it used to have that back in the 60s, I think. I could be wrong. It could have been the 50s. I don't know. But just as soon as I saw that Batmobile, I literally jumped 2 inches off my seat, because I was like, holy crap, they didn't do that, but yes, they did, and damn if I don't love it. I'm hoping in the future that the Batcave changes a little bit. The big shot that we got of the Batcave in this volume, I liked it, but I don't know. It just didn't like. I expect to see more vehicles or like a different layout with the vehicles there. It was like a couple of bikes, a couple of Batmobiles, and I don't know. Anyway,
he doesn't need a whole fleet of stuff. Come on now.
If you're eventually going to bring in Robin, Batgirl, and all that stuff, you need a lot of vehicles. Anyway, I Am Gotham. Maybe a 4.5 for me out of 5.
I'm gonna stick with a 4 because that's what I gave previous one. But yeah, it's still very,
the
very
full
good.
Story here, I felt like there was no missteps in the story because it was an all new story to me. And again, like you said earlier, starting out at number 1 at the beginning of the run, there's that.
It's true. I don't know. It's tough for me. I'm trying not to give out perfect all the time. Come on.
Well, between Batman and Transformers, we got a lot of perfect going on, at least in the year 1 of IDW, year 13 of IDW.
There's just a lot of great comics going on. It really bugs me when, I could talk about this. We could do entire shows on this when idiots talk about how comics are bad or superhero comics are bad. No, there's a ridiculous amount of great work being done. And
absolutely.
There's just so many great writers. And we've covered 2 just now who have...
in the last 2 weeks, yep.
Yeah, who have come just... I don't want to say out of nowhere, but Snyder... I don't know that he was really well known before the initial run on Batman. I think some people knew who he was. And then since then, he's got a number of other different projects and things he's worked on that's just fantastic as well. I love bitches. So anyway, and then for Tom King, I think the first thing from Tom King I read was the Vision miniseries, which was amazing. I'm not a fan of Vision. I don't know enough about him, really, so I haven't read much. But his work on that was amazing. One of the best sort of miniseries. It got me more interested in the character than I ever thought I would be. And to see him then get to transition into Batman, who is a character who I think a few people know pretty well. 1 or 2 people might have heard of the guy, but... Yeah.
Whether it's Adam West, whether it's Kevin Conroy, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, whether it's Adam West again in the animated stuff, the Scooby-Doo animated stuff, plus their own animated stuff back in the 70s, whether it's DTAS or any of the other Justice League stuff. Every time I read Batman lines, I hear Kevin Conroy's voice in my head, no matter what he's saying, whether it's Bruce or Batman, I hear, and again, because I interviewed Kevin 7 years ago at this point, what I loved about Kevin Conroy being Bruce Wayne and Batman is how much of a different inflection he had for both versions of the character. Like, Bruce Wayne is his own character and Batman is his own character. Bruce Wayne's voice is softer, and Batman's character, Batman's voice is more stern kind of thing. So
if only Bruce owned more than that accursed brown and yellow suit.
Yeah.
Needed a change.
There were a couple of times later where he was in like a black tux and things, but it was towards Justice League. But yeah, in BTAS, it was that brown suit with the yellow shirt, and
It became a running joke though behind the scenes. If you ever listened to the animated series commentary, so that's part of the reason it showed up all the time.
Yep.
Anyway, so King and Snyder's run are both fantastic. King is ongoing. King is a near perfect writer. I don't like Heroes in Crisis at all, or else he would be perfect. So pick either of them up.
Yep, and we will be doing more of Tom King's run later in the year, maybe next year. I don't know. Folks, I've got a crazy notion. And I know financially I cannot do it. So I looked on Comixology, and if I look at all of the Nightwing stuff that's on there, the trades, I told Steve Megatron that I had an idea this November to do 30 nights of Nightwing. Basically, one episode a day, covering one Nightwing trade from the very beginning, 1995, and then the 96 to 2009 run, then the...
That's also a lot of reading.
Yeah, I know. I understand that, but financially I looked at it and I'm like, fuck, I can't do that. I just can't.
Nightwingly November.
Yeah, exactly. I think I found enough stuff to do 24 out of the 30 nights, and it ended up being close to $285 in Comixology. I'm like, empty cart. Yeah. It's an idea. I can always do it for another year at some point, because I don't see this podcast going away anytime soon. Maybe after we hit our 10-year anniversary or something, but who knows? Who knows what the hell kind of comics are going to be out by 2023. So yeah, coming up next time, it'll probably be Ryan and I, most likely, talking about the first volume of the Stephanie Brown Batgirl. So that's what's coming up here inside Batman Month on the Pullbag. Where can the people find you, sir?
At Nightbeat on Twitter.
I am at TFG and Mike on Twitter. You can follow at the Pullbag as well. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time here inside the Pullbag.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.